Hello and warm welcome to the Sandlord Surf Club for Barrow Trials on this Tuesday, the 26th of August. And we just got the 4 trials, 2 trials on track 2 and trials 3 and 4 on the sand track. All of them over 1,000 meters. Runners and riders for trial 1 will be up on the screen shortly. So the runners and riders for the first trial, Starboy will be ridden by Mark Lerner, Zed or Alive, Apprentice Tiamar, Pacific Master Andre de Silva, Latin Legend Zed Carril, Flaming Migliore CK Core, Always a Gentleman Esuzea, Bid Union Emat Mazzani, and Antipodean will be ridden by Bernardo Pinheiro. Those are the runners and riders for trial 1. They'll be making their way down to the start shortly, and it should commence in approximately 7 minutes' time. The runners moving into line for the first trial of the morning. Starboy already in the stalls with Zed or Alive. Moving in is Pacific Master. Latin Legend. Next to load will be Flaming Migliore. And we've got 3 runners left to load. Always a Gentleman, Bid Union, and Antipodean. Always a Gentleman steps forward. Last 2 to load, Bid Union and Antipodean, who will be the last one. Bid Union moves into line, and Antipodean the last one. Field of 8 runners. Quite quick to load, they're all in. Stand to attention, flags up. Gates are back, and they're off and trialling in the first. And slow into stride was Flaming Migliore, who will have to trial from the back end of the field. Antipodean gets worked up deep routes on the track with Always a Gentleman. Latin Legend showing pace as well. Pacific Masters battle on the inside under Andre de Silva, now being passed up by Bid Union. Deep routes on the track. Starboy, Flaming Migliore is improving around runners, just ahead of Zed or Alive. And that leaves Starboy is now dropped off to the tail end of the field. They spread out about 13 or 14 lengths cover the field as they're homeward bound. 500 left to travel now. Up in front, Always a Gentleman, ensuring a good gallop. Goes about 6 lengths clear of Latin Legend and Antipodean. Bid Union's up on the outside, followed by Flaming Migliore. Then comes Zed or Alive. Further back to Pacific Master and Starboy's the back marker as they're into the final 200 meters. And Always a Gentleman, a comfortable leader, goes 6 or 7 lengths clear of the rest of the field. Out the pack, you got Antipodean alongside Latin Legend and Bid Union doing the chasing. But Always a Gentleman will go start to finish and wins rather comfortably at the end. Second place gets very close. I think Antipodean just ahead of Latin Legend. Then came Bid Union. Flaming Migliore was in behind those, followed by Zed or Alive. Then came Starboy and Pacific Master. So Always a Gentleman under Esuzea has beaten some pretty big names in this trial. The new registration and trial with the blinkers and pacifiers on from the Lawson Moy stable, and went quite a quick pace up in front and led them a merry dance to start to finish. And certainly leaves an impression here. Wins by about 2.5 lengths. Second place, I think, went to Antipodean in the middle as the runners hit the line together. And it will be Antipodean in second, followed by Latin Legend in third. Then up on the outside was Bid Union batting fourth. Nothing much separating those 3 runners. Flaming Migliore was in behind those in fifth. Then came Zed or Alive. And I can't confirm. Starboy, I think it is, in 7th. And then last was Pacific Master. So just to repeat the numbers, Always a Gentleman, the winner. Antipodean in 2nd. 3rd place, Latin Legend. In 4th was Bid Union. 5th, Flaming Migliore. 6th place, Zed or Alive. In 7th was Starboy. And Pacific Master was last across the line. That's the results for Trial 1. Up next, Trial 2. Runners and riders will be on screen shortly. And there we go. Starting off with the Al Rocco filly, will be ridden by Clyde Leck, still an unnamed runner. Maximus Pegasus will be ridden by White Ivy. Never Ask More, Mark Lerner. Pacific Power, Andre de Silva. Southern Speed will be ridden by S. John. Talkin' Power, Etsy Lian. And Irish Goodbye will be ridden by S. Uzair. Those are the runners and riders for Trial 2. And should commence in approximately 6 minutes' time. Runners moving into line for the second trial of the morning. Maximus Pegasus, the first one. Field of 7 runners here. As Never Asked More has been called into line and steps forward. Pacific Power steps forward. And still waiting on Talking Power, Southern Speed, as well as the unnamed runner. And Irish Goodbye as well as Southern Speed moves in. As the unnamed runner under Clyde Lett moves into line. Irish Goodbye steps forward. Talking Power, the last one. 7 runners, 1,000 meters. Pacific Power is just playing up in his starting stall. Looks to settle, flags up now. Pacific Power is still playing up. And the flags come back down, so we're just waiting on Pacific Power to settle. Can't exactly see what the problem is. I think it has to do with his head. I think it got caught over the side. So Andre de Silva is very animated in the stalls. It's not entirely too sure what the problem is. So De Silva's back in the saddle, the flag's up, and the dates are back, and they're off in trialing from the 1,000 meter mark. Slow into stride, Talking Power, and Maximus Pegasus missed the kick as well. The unnamed runner towards the inside broke out well under Clyde Lett, and pushing forward up towards the outside is Irish Goodbye, and behind those Pacific Power is Southern Speed. Talking Power is racing wide in the early stages. 2 lengths further back to the grey, that's Maximus Pegasus racing just ahead of Never Asked More, who is the back marker as they make their way past the 600 meter mark. Up in front, Irish Goodbye's picked up the lead, goes 2 lengths clear of the unnamed runner under Clyde Lett, racing away in second, then 4 lengths further back in the field to Southern Speed, races up on the outside of Pacific Power, then 2 lengths back to the grey Maximus Pegasus, just ahead of Talking Power and Never Asked More as well back in the field. 200 metres left to travel now. Up in front, Irish Goodbye by a length and a half to the unnamed runner, who switches towards the outside and is starting to run on, but still Irish Goodbye in front by 2 lengths. And Irish Goodbye will come home to win. Another win for Uzair for the morning. Second place, the unnamed runner, followed by back in third, Maximus Pegasus. Then came Pacific Power, Talking Power. In behind that, you had Southern Speed, and Never Asked More was well back in the field. So Irish Goodbye in the Lawson Moy stable, having won the first trial with Always a Gentleman. Irish Goodbye in trial 2, having his official race trial with the blinkers and pacifiers on. He'll win here. And beats home the unnamed runner by Al Rocker out of Rapping into second. That was ridden by Clyde Lett. Third place was Maximus Pegasus, the grey. ahead of Pacific Power, who got caught up in the starting stalls just before the jump. Not entirely too sure what happened, but nonetheless still went through the trial, followed by Talkin' Power. Then came Southern Speed and Never Ask More was well back in the field. Just to confirm those numbers, Irish Goodbye, the winner. Second place, the unnamed runner under Clyde Leck. Third, Maximus Pegasus. Fourth, Pacific Power. Fifth was Talkin' Power. In sixth was Southern Speed. And seventh was Never Asked More, who was last across the line. Last two trials will be moved over to the sand track, and both of them to be contested over 1,000 meters. And we'll have the runners and riders for the next trial up on screen shortly. So runners and riders for trial 3, only 4 runners, so there must be another runner that's been taken out. Bingo Master will be ridden by Atmazani. Strong Dragons will be ridden by CJ Claw. Eruption will be ridden by Jay Daniel. And it looks like Cinnamon Blaze has been taken out, so Valois will be ridden by Bernardo Pinheiro. And those are the runners and riders for trial 3, just a field of 4. And once again, moving across to the sand track for the remaining 2 trials. Runners moving into line for the penultimate trial of the morning. Bingo Master, the first one. Just a field of 4 runners. Strong Dragon, Eruption, and Valois, the last 3. Strong Dragon moves in. Next to load, Valois. And the last one will be Eruption. It has the blindfold on as well. Eruption just shies away at the first attempt. Second time, halfway in, backs out once again. It's bundled up, 3/4 of the way in. One final push, moves into line. Set and ready, 4 runners, 1,000 meters on the sand track, gates are back and they are off and trialing from the 1,000 meter mark. The starters caught them to a level beginning. Down the center, Eruption broke out quickest of all, deep route. You've got Valois pushing forward and then battle on the inside to Strong Dragon with Bingo Master as they make their way past the 800 meter mark, and nothing much separating these 4. They're pretty much in an equal line as they make their way into the turn. Bingo Master the inside with Strong Dragon. 3 from the inside is Eruption, and deepest out is Valois. Once again, nothing much covering these runners. Now officially a length separates first to fourth as they make their way past the 500 meter mark. It's Bingo Master, Strong Dragon, and up on the outside Eruption. They make a line of 3 as Valois dropped completely out of it and has about 6 or 7 lengths to make up now as they're into the final 300, and once again the first 3, nothing much separating them. Down along the inside, Bingo Master, the middle, Strong Dragon, then comes Eruption, and Valois has about a dozen lengths to make up now as they're into the final 100 meters. Now becomes a 2-horse trial. Make that a 1-horse trial because Strong Dragon's doing the better. Battle on the inside, Bingo Master also fighting right back, but I think Strong Dragon has just done enough from Bingo Master. Third place went the way of Eruption, and then came Valois, who was last across the line. So it looks like Strong Dragon and CK Core has done enough, but in saying that, CK Core eased his mount right up at about the 50 meter line, and that allowed Bingo Master to have one final crack along the inside. So you can see on the outside, Strong Dragon, CK Core just try and get him back onto the bit to finish off the trial, but he has done enough. So Strong Dragon will win the 3rd trial, followed by Bingo Master, battle on the inside in 2nd. 3rd place went the way of Eruption, and Valois, who was up there with the early speed, faded out at the top of the straight and was last across the line. So just to repeat the numbers once again, Strong Dragon the winner, Bingo Master 2nd, 3rd place Eruption, and Valois was last across the line. Up next, trial 4, which will be the last trial for the morning, and the runners and riders will be making their way down to the start, and we'll read out the field shortly. Fourth and final trial for the morning. Just the field of 4 runners. Taki will be ridden by Andre De Silva. Raging Rabbits, Atmazani. Blue Jay, Jay Kamarudin. And Big Asia will be ridden by R. Nickman. And good to see Nickman back in the saddle. So those are the 4 runners for the 4th and final trial. And they'll be making their way down to the start shortly. So the field of 4 making their way into the starting stalls. Tucky the first one. Blue Jay steps forward. Next load is Big Asia. And Newtman back in the saddle. The last one slowed will be Raging Rabbit. Steps forward. Field of 4, 1,000 meters. Flags up from behind, sets and ready. Gates are back, and they're off and trialing from the 1,000 meter mark. Big Asia towards the outside, the quickest to break, goes to lead the field early on. Tucky gets urged along under Andre de Silva to try and stay in touch, and right in the middle, Blue Jay is also right there in contention, and away from the field is Raging Rabbit, who's struggling to stay in touch with the field, has now dropped out and racing about 6 or 7 lengths off the leading trio. They're into the turn with just on 700 meters left to travel now. Up in front, the narrow leader seems to be Big Asia up on the outside, but working over time. Tucky's battle on the inside. In between them is Blue Jay, and a breakaway of about 8 lengths and running to Raging Rabbit, who's last of all. Top of the straight now, 350 meters left to travel. Along the inside, Tucky the narrow leader from Big Asia, who's deeper out on the track. Blue Jay is right in between those. These three left to fight it out, and a long way back to Raging Rabbit. Big Asia now quickens up smartly up on the outside, pulls clear, goes of 2 to 3 lengths clear, and is not going to be for the catching, will extend and will win going away. Big Asia and R. Newtman will win probably by about 6 or 7 lengths in the closing stages. Blue Jay back in second, Tucky in third, Raging Rabbit last across the line. So it will be Big Asia under R. Newtman for the Johnny Lim stable. That wins the 4th and final trial for the morning. Good to see R. Newtman back in the saddle. Of course, he's been off the track for quite some time with his injury. But he wins here in a rather comfortable manner. Wins by, might even be further than 6 lengths, probably 7 or 8 lengths at the end. And quickens up well to pull clear from the rest of the field. Blue Jay was back in second, followed by Tucky in third, and Raging Rabbit. Well, he failed to stay in touch with the leading trio and was well back for most of the trial. Just to repeat the numbers, Big Asia the winner, second place Blue Jay, and third was Tucky, and Raging Rabbit the last one. That completes our barrier trials for this Tuesday, the 26th of August. Thank you very much for joining us. And just a reminder, racing takes place on Sunday, the 31st of August. Of course, we've got the Merdeka Cup and 12 races on the program. Certainly looking forward to that. And the minor feature race, also the Trinity Cup, I believe it is. So some big names stepping out onto the track, and hopefully we can get a nice crowd in here on Sunday. So until then, farewell, goodbye, and hope to see you at the races this weekend.